What's good, y'all? Hope everybody's living well and staying blessed. I am your boy, Marcus B. As always, I'm joined by Mr. Evan Simmons. Hope you're living well, brother. Good to hear, man. Today, second milestone of the podcast. First one being starting the show. Second one is today, episode 10. And I sat down with a great buddy of mine, colleague, dude I went to school with, love the guy, the one and only Scot Krum. And we talked about a lot of stuff. It's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly what it was, but we just kind of talked about philosophy, life, passions, different outlets that we've came across throughout our lives. But nonetheless, it was just a really good conversation, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. As always, make sure you like and follow us on all things social media, and along with the milestone of episode 10, we are now going to be officially on all things, on multiple platforms, not all things yet, but multiple platforms. We are now officially on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. So you don't have to just catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on those things as well. So make sure you like and follow, subscribe, all those things. As always, hope you guys are living well. Enjoy the episode. Peace. What's going on, man?
Howdy, buddy.
How you doing?
I was kind of nervous.
Yeah?
Because we were setting everything up, and I said, "Oh, now I gotta kind of get into this mindset." Like I'm excited to be
Gotta
here.
get into the mood for it.
Yeah, because you always watch it. If
Yeah.
you watch it or you're listening to a podcast, you really like what are podcasts for? They're just for your mind to kind of wander a little bit and relate with other people, and you have this platform right now, and you're just having conversations that are genuine.
Yeah.
And it's inviting. It's really fun to listen to because you're also one of my closest friends.
Yeah, man. I
And-
mean, we're just out here trying, just doing something.
Yeah, it's been really weird. It really has been super weird being stuck at home for this specific reason.
For sure. Before we get into it, for all the people that don't know,
Mm-hmm.
tell everybody
Oh,
at home, who are you?
who am.
I hate that. I hate you listen to shows like that, Evan. I love Jimmy Fallon, but I don't know, all those forced questions at the beginning. Just nah, man. Just
Let it flow.
yeah, yeah. It's not a good time. Not good. So legitimately, who are you? Where you from? What you do? All those things.
I am Scot Krum. I am
With one T.
With one T. Scott.
That's important for
Crum.
you too.
Crum.
You too, Evan. So when you put it in the episode, one T.
Yeah, it's been really weird to have a name that's so weird for people to look at and be like, why do you only have one T?
I feel you.
That's off-putting.
I've only met one person with a K.
As Crum.
Marcus.
Oh, Marcus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but Scot Krum.
Yeah, I'm a teacher. I'm a band director. I studied music in college. I graduated with a fine arts degree in education with an emphasis in drum performance. And I am an assistant band director in South Austin right now, working at a middle school. It's been a very wonderful place to grow as a person and be shown different sides of the realness of the world, and I never thought that I was going to be at this point. When you grow up in a school system like mine, where I'm from,
the Valley system.
yeah, you really don't understand your privilege until you come upon the school that I'm working at, and you understand more about yourself, and life has a way of checking you sometimes. You don't even expect it. The realness of feeling this like very like uncertain way, like whether you're doing something right or not, you know, and just coming into your own, you know, making those mistakes is something that, I mean, has built me to be the type of person I am now, you know. Like in college it was different, you know. You knew me in college, you knew me like as I was coming up, you know, and there was just all this like instability and like, you know, and trying to discover myself, you know. My self-image was growing,
as one does in college.
Yeah, as one does in life. Like obviously, like there's I don't know, there should never be a fear of like failing. There should just be like an understanding, like that's what's going to happen, because that's what's going to help you grow. And like I failed a lot at the job that I'm at right now, but I know that I've succeeded in ways that are important to me. You know, like I love being able to look at the school and say that, you know, I'm about to see my 6th graders graduate after this year. And that's what I said I was going to do. I was going to give myself 3 years at least at this place. And then I wanted to start looking into schools to go to for psychology. You know, at first it was very music oriented, but once I started learning that like the musical part of myself has always been, you know, this, I gave myself a persona, you know, like because of like how I felt in high school, growing with music and like being exposed to so much, it was easy for me to pick that, because obviously like I love everything about music, you know, like I love the tedious, meticulous practice hours because it requires a strength of you, you know, and a lot of people overlook that. And, you know, I grew with all of this stuff in high school and I became musical, and that's a part of me, you know, and I use that. But being at the school has taught me a lot about like development, you know, both in like kids and myself. And I became like really interested in the mind and how it works. So ever since my first year, in the free time that I had, like while I was at work, like, you know, eating lunch, or if I like went to go get a coffee, I would listen to podcasts that were based on psychology, or like I would listen to like really influential people talk to other influential people about like psychology and human development. And then I got into books, and then I got into running, and you know, like where I am now, I'd never expected it. For sure. Yeah, like I would love to, you know, pursue that eventually as, you know, a part of my life, a part of my academic career, and I want to be a professor eventually. So
really,
yeah,
in
that's
psychology or music.
That I definitely not just with like a musical emphasis.
Okay.
I feel like there was always this question that I had of myself that said, why band directing? You know, like why not this, why not that? But that was after the fact, you know. Like I never had a chance to like fully sit down and like be autonomous with my decisions when I was growing up. It was always very like there was so many things that I had to factor into the decisions that I was making, because I felt like I had to. I owed it to my mom, I owed it to my sister, I owed it to my family. You know, because I grew up that way. And you know, I don't know, like once I got into college, once I got an instance of being an individual, you know, it was kind of like very freeing, and I decided to take off from there. Yeah.
And well, it's interesting that you say like instance of being an individual, because like you quickly became like a figurehead in the performance world at Texas State. Like I think the first performance gig you did was salsa band.
Yeah.
But then after that, and you did vocals for that first, right?
Trumpet.
The first semester was trumpet. Then so then you quickly you did one semester?
So it was trumpet because I never sang when I was younger, except for like, you know, around my family in the shower, or like my last year in high school. I joined choir with Jason and my friend Andrew, and
Moser.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And so
nice.
we joined choir, and we just had the period free, so we got in there, and I learned a lot about what goes into singing, obviously, but that's also me. Like when I was in high school, I was a really, really nerdy guy.
Yeah.
Like I never even thought that I would like end up in the path that I'm on right now with all of the stuff that I consider to be important or like necessary for me to, survive the day. I just
well, I think there's a weird correlation. Evan, let me know, get your thoughts on this. I think a lot of the band directors just find like different ways to keep learning things in their high school career.
Yeah.
And I think like I know in like Duran's case, he had the opportunity to have like super steep performance opportunities, and he was like, I'm gonna learn saxophone, and I'm gonna take private lessons on saxophone, and I'm gonna be in jazz band, and I'm gonna do all these things. And for me, it wasn't as pertinent, but I was also in the robotics club, and I was like the lead mechanical engineer, and then I was heavy in the dance world as well. Yeah, I took a robot to competition, did poorly.
It's because we enjoy the education process.
Yeah. And I think it's an interesting thing to look at. I would like to talk to like some standard education teachers and see if that's the same case for them. Like, do they get into more things in high school because they just like learning different things, and like if there's how much of a correlation there is between you wanting to learn things and you eventually being a teacher.
Yeah, I gave a lot of emphasis with music because, of course, like that's what I love. Yeah. So when I got to college, it was the obvious choice. But the obvious one isn't necessarily like, I don't know, the one that's like truest to you. Like my idea for being a teacher now, at least, like because of what I've been through, like I just think that like teachers are meant to make like strong people, like especially fine arts teachers, because you teach an imaginative, creative, language that people use to express like really, really, really deep desires of fulfillment and accomplishment for themselves. And I learned more that first and foremost, I care about making sure that the child understands that they're making good decisions. My view for just like talking with children has changed because of where I am. Like, I don't treat children like children. I treat children with opportunities to like, I don't know, learn. And like, I love being around like kids because, they are just trying to figure it out. There's just a bunch of like they're just like mumbling. I was hanging out with
especially
my friends.
Especially the middle school age.
Yeah, and like they're so awkward. They're just trying to figure themselves out. Like it's like they're really angsty and like everything's really hard like all the time, and they're very dramatic. And like dude, be dramatic. Like I love when you do that because it's like you're expressing your emotions, and you're not allowed to do that a lot in front of other people. But it's also a different monster with where I am because now like you have to interpret this like sadness that the kids are going through differently. My psychology changed when I started working here. I never thought that I would have such like sentimental and like intimate moments of realization about like the care and the capacity for care that I have, and like the want to always like have these people progress because you want. I remember being at a Longhorns football game with my friend Ram, and he invited me out, and I was looking at the field, and I saw these like little 3rd, 4th grade kids, like these little kiddos. They're on the field, they just run all the way across, and there was a moment in there where the sun was just so beautiful, like setting over the stadium, and the clouds were great, and it was still like, it was just this like stillness that I felt for a second, the one of those memories that you have where you look back at it and you can remember what's happening there. And I don't know why, but these little kids were running across the field, and there was just I was transported to a point in time where I looked at like generations. I said, that is a new portion of humanity that is like being brought up in this area to become people that go on from here. And like, yeah, that's like a really deep like thought, obviously. And I understand that having that is really, they could change you. And like I did kind of change in that moment. And I remember it that well because I knew then that like I couldn't be upset at not being able to do what I was taught to do. I should have been more aware that like these challenges were making me into the type of person that was necessary. And I didn't fully commit myself to the development because I was scared, like being uncomfortable with not doing things that you're taught is like where growth happens. Yeah. And I experienced a lot of that,
And I mean, I think it's really hard. Well, even before I get into that, I think we with the school that you're at, and I think similar to the school that me and Evan teach at, you just have to learn a different level of empathy. Yeah. But on that is, and on the same token is, we get taught of like these like pillars of like things to fall back on, and when
sometimes they don't work.
Yeah, when you're put in the situation that you're in at your school, or some of the situations that me and Evan been in, definitely Kelsey. God dang, man, starting that dance program at Travis, the school that has the how would you say, the most
a lot of things go on there.
Just a lot of things. A lot of things just go on there. Just simply put, just a lot of stuff happens at that school that a lot of other schools don't have to deal with. Damn, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
It's hard to do that.
Yeah, it's hard to deal with that, and it's
a different challenge. Like you can't fall back on those.
Yeah, that's what it is. You can't fall back on those pillars of what we were taught to by our university. Where it's like, no. If X, Y, and Z goes to crap, this is what you should do. And it's like, bro, we left Z 20 minutes ago. Yeah. What is going on?
Like
what are we doing?
We left Z after the first year. Like I never developed plans further than the alphabet because I wouldn't think that I would need to go past at least point, plan Z. Like plan Z. This is crazy.
What do you mean that I needed to be here?
And then you realize that like, yeah, dude, plan Z, just like it happens. And then you're on to like AA and you just got to keep going and you come up with more. Yeah. Have you ever fallen and then like gauged how far away something is, and then you get closer to that thing and then you're just like, oh, I'm about to hit it, and then you don't hit it and then you fall further? Like there's like a moment of lapse like between when you thought you were going to hit like a trampoline and when you actually hit the trampoline.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying.
That moment, like where you're not certain how far away you actually are. Yeah. Like that is what I experienced like every day. Huh. Because it's an interesting way to put it. Especially my first year, because like, yeah, of course I'm ready to like jump on this trampoline. I've jumped on trampolines before. Like I'm going to know how to like gauge when to come down and like and up, and like my awareness, my autonomy is developed enough. I'm pretty athletic. I realize that, and then my knees buckle and I fall and like I get hurt. Yeah. Or like I'm just scared for a second. And I lose my breath. And like
you get that double bounce.
Yeah, like you have I know you've had moments where like you were scared out of your mind.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, like there was just this like kind of like carnal thing that happens. Like your like reptilian brain turns on, and then you just like revert to this like fight or flight mode. Yeah. That's what I felt like a lot of the time.
Yeah, because when I thought I was gonna like a kid squared up to me and I was like, shit, am I about to get hit by a student? Do I know how to handle getting hit and not hitting him back?
Of course, like that, but that's just like a individualistic thing. Like that's just like like how in tune are you with your emotions? How well do you know yourself, where you know that, like, you know, when you get tested that way, when you actually get checked, because like I got hit too my first year.
Yeah.
So it was one of those moments that, you know, it just defined me. It helped me create this structure around a portion of thought that is unnecessary. You become so much stronger in your like weakest moment, where you can like realize, you know, this like, you know, this just like, oh, I'm so mad right now, but like I know that it's not you.
Yeah.
It's okay. Can you please go sit down? And then you continue with class.
Yeah.
And you have to act like nothing's wrong, because that's not your kid. You know, I gave so much meaning to every kid that was there. You know, like,
it's hard not to, man.
Of course, because it's like the brain is evolved to be like sympathetic.
Yeah.
You know,
especially just as a teacher, like I said, I think in order to get into the teaching game, you have a heightened sense of sympathy and empathy, and then as you like start teaching, like it gets even more heightened, and then you have to figure out how to like compartmentalize it of like, oh, I need to show you more of this, or I need to pull back on it because I know that that's just where you're at right now, and nothing I say is gonna help you get past what it is that you're dealing with right now.
But then you don't even know how to like meet them where they are.
Yeah.
Because the starting line wasn't actually the starting line when you left.
Yeah.
You know, like, you got to start again. You got to start from such like specific concepts that you wouldn't think somebody would need to be taught. And you're so uncomfortable for a really long time, and like you learn to adapt yourself.
Yeah.
Like you learn to acclimate, and you become this really innovative, imaginative, and like heuristically aware person that uses these tools and these failures and these things to like get as good as you can at doing what is necessary. Not always the thing that is the correct thing to do, you know, or like what is like asked of you, like specifically, but that's just like what is needed. You are the person that is needed to be there. And that's what I've turned into. I know that I have a very strong personality now because of it. There have been people that have talked to me and they say, I can just see a difference in how you like speak, you know, or like the way that you carry yourself. It's only been 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that people are going to listen to this and they're going to say, what do you mean? When I say that I feel 40 at 25, I can't imagine what it's going to be like when I'm like 60. You know, like I can't imagine what it's like. You imagine like being just this old dude who just knows so much, and you're the coolest guy because you don't judge. You know, like I don't view myself as a judgmental person. Nah. You know, like
I would say so.
I don't.
Wouldn't say so. Wouldn't say so. Would say so.
No.
Wouldn't say so. Right. Wouldn't say so.
Yeah, like I don't like to do that. You know, that's not part of who I am now. You know, maybe I have done it. I'm not gonna say I haven't, because I know that judgment was kind of very present.
It's also part of life, man. It's
yeah. Well,
it's
I mean,
hard
when I
not
was
to.
younger, like I growing up around a whole bunch of like chismosas, you know, just like. Like, I love my family, but, bro, I was glad to be in college. I was glad to be away, because there's just a point that you get to, even as a kid, you know, like, I was thinking because I had to. I think I had said it earlier, you know, like, I had to think differently because my mom was going through so much. Yeah. You know, like PTSD. Yeah. You know, that's something that I've seen it. Like, I've been there, and, like, I've never experienced it. But like that's why I hold my mom in such a high regard, you know, and like I've never raised my voice to my mother, and like I always respect her because I know that she can kick my ass if she wants to. Like my mom is she'll scrap. Like
I definitely think your mom, your mom would
like,
throw some hands.
Yeah, like she'll go out into the street and drag you by your hair, and like but then like also she's angelic, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like a Mexican mom thing, honestly. Like growing up around that, like in that culture, I was immersed in that culture. I like went to Mexico constantly, like just crossing the bridge. Going to see my you know, aunts and uncles and my cousins, and I was running in the streets of Matamoros with no shoes on, and like my feet were like just dark on the bottom, and like that's why I think I have problems with them now, because like I can't wear shoes, you know, like
I mean, I'm the same way. The only time if I could wear chanclas everywhere, I would.
Right?
Yeah, but that's also just me being part Latino and growing up on the beach.
Yeah, and like, you know, being in my grandpa's backyard. I love to like remember these like memories that I have of my grandpa's garden, and like that thing that he took care of, being as like strong, you know, like this personality that he had. He was just like that. Strong, like he was just a man to me, you know. And I looked up to him when I was a kid, and I always have, you know, because I didn't have my father there, but I knew about my father, you know, and I knew that there. Oh, man, this is just a whole conversation. Sorry, I'm going everywhere.
No, dude, you're good, man.
No, it's because I start thinking about this one thing, and then I remember that I've thought about this before, because like yesterday, like I was going through these talking points that I had, like, you know, in my head, like how I would say it. And I think I just got caught up in one of those thoughts right now. But yeah, like I'm a writer. Like I love to write stuff down. I love to put things, you know, out of my head and down somewhere so I can look at them again, because I really appreciate being able to do that. And it prepares me, and, you know, it helps me remember. And like I said, like I've wrote down stuff where I talk about being in my grandpa's garden, and it takes me to like that place. Yeah. And I think about the citrus, you know, and these lime trees, and the AC unit on the side of the house, like turning off, and the dogs across the neighbor's yard were barking constantly, and there was always this smell of like Marlboro Red and like cut cedar, and you know those are the things that I love to do now. You know, I love to take care of plants. I love to, like, you know, I build stuff with my hands. You know, I built that desk, and I'm also in the process of building this like little seat on my patio, because I would rather like have done that with my hands. And like with my friend Ram, like during this whole time, obviously, like I've been very, you know, quarantined, or, you know, I don't go out very often, you know. I'll get into it in a second, but like Ram would ask me to go and help him with projects that he had, and I was so glad to be outside. You know,
it's something about that construction feels good. Something about doing with that, and I don't know if that's where that's rooted in. Maybe it's just like,
oh, that's old, you know.
Because I definitely, like, I miss doing construction. Yeah. Like I've been building stuff for my percussion studio, and it felt good, and like every now and then, for like, it'll just pop in my head, like I miss digging holes to put in fence posts.
I don't know. Ram actually smacked me in the face with a fence post when we were changing them. You remember that? Yeah. The scars right here. But he didn't mean it. Like,
no, of course not.
We were digging out the posts, and like I was on the front side of it. He was on the back side, and so I was like scooping the dirt out, and it was this like really tough clay, so it was like clumping together, and you know, I like had to put my hand in there because the shovel like wasn't reaching. We had a square shovel, and then we also had one of the like pick heads. I forgot. I don't even know which ones those are called. Like just a standard.
Just the standard shovel.
I guess like a concrete shovel and a standard shovel.
Yeah.
And
Are you talking about this like the like actual square or like the long boy?
So the actual square
Yeah,
one. We
okay.
weren't using like fence post diggers.
I was about
no.
to say.
Like that would have been helpful.
It's a
but
lot easier.
We
That's what they're
didn't.
for.
We didn't. It was more expensive, I think. I don't know. He never bought one, so I just used the ones that
It's
he
like
had.
a $17 shovel.
I think
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Makes life easier.
We made it work. I
Hey,
guess.
man, yeah.
That's just how it is too with me. Like
For sure.
I make it work as much as I can, and that statement it plays like testament to like a lot of the stuff that I do right now. Like, yeah. But I was digging it out, and he leaned on the back part because he thought that the concrete was still attached to it on the front, but it had rotted away and it chipped off. And so when he put his weight on it, it just like full force came down and whack, like just hit me on the head, and it was like split open. And he looked at me like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "No, am I bleeding?" And he was like, "No, you're good." And I said, "Okay, we're fine. I'm gonna go wash up real quick." So I went inside, and then I came back outside after like 5 minutes, and then we finished digging the holes out, and then we put the concrete in and everything. There's just that toughness, you know. Like I love being aware of how far I can go, you know. And that's another thing that I got into. I wouldn't say recently. Like I've always been very athletic, and I love to run. So I guess I've done it more practically, and you know, there was a schedule to it since early February, I would say, where I was just.
I'd say so.
And you know, running is something that I had always thought about as like a way to clear my head. Like even in college, you know, like I would run.
Remember the handful of times that you would just like disappear?
Yeah. I was gone for a couple of hours.
Yeah. Just
you
like,
know, I recently
8 miles. Yeah.
quick 8 miles. No. I was just telling you earlier, like recently, like I had been going through some like pretty tough like mental stuff because of, you know, somebody that, you know, I really, really care about. And I had to go on a run because I couldn't escape these like really heavy thoughts. And I thought, I just need to go clear my head, go run. And like, that's what I would use running for a lot of the time. But then I realized that like, it's like a necessary part of my life. Like after runs, I feel like liberated. I feel this like that runner's high that people talk about. Like you until you like realize what it's like to, you know, get to that point where like sometimes you black out in the middle of a run and you don't remember going like, you know, 1.5 miles before you like come to.
Yeah.
And you're still running. Like that's me. Like I push myself until I finish the amount that I have laid out for myself.
For sure.
And I started out, you know, as like 1 mile, 2 miles, and I would have to stop because I was just like not cardiovascularly strong. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, like I got up to 1 mile without stopping, and then 2 miles without stopping, and then 4 miles without stopping. And then I did my first loop, which around my neighborhood and then like down the access road and then like back to my apartment. And that one was 4.7. And then I extended it more, but I did it really quickly. Like I ramped up like pretty hard pretty quickly.
Yeah. Because
I was doing like the 4.7 loop without stopping in like 35 minutes.
Damn. Yeah,
so,
that's pretty.
Yeah,
pretty good pace for sure.
It was nice. It was
it's like
good
a solid
to
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8.5. Yeah. It's not bad.
And then eventually
Definitely better than any of my paces. Jesus.
Yes, but that's not like I was always trying to not even beat the amount of time that I was spending per mile or like how long I was gone. I was always just trying to like stretch how far I could get away and like go. And I never realized that I would get to this point right now where like I could probably do like without stopping running like probably 10 miles.
Yeah.
And I could do it. I've done it in an hour and 18 minutes. So like
still pretty steady with that 8 minute.
Yeah, like I've pushed myself like pretty hard. And then I did that run to San Marcos, where it was me and Ram actually we did it. We ran down to San Marcos. It was 11.2 miles, and then his sister met us with bikes, and we got on the bikes, and then we rode back the 11.2 miles. Nice. And we did it in like, I think it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And
not bad at all. Yeah.
No, we were making great time, and he was always saying like, you push me to like points where like I'm uncertain. You know, and like I don't know if I could do that if nobody was with me. And like, you know, he's one of my like really, really best friends in that context, where he also like helped me realize a lot of that running potential. So in May, I decided to do that run.
Yeah.
And so the entire month of May was just like clean eating. I learned more about like what running does for you, like in your head, and how it oxygenates your body, and like how important water is. And I learned about, you know, like how to hydrate myself, and like what to eat and what to do, because like you said earlier, you know, you just start to find different interests, like as a person, you know, you have a vocation, you know, like teaching, but there's other parts to you, you know, unless you want to be like masterful at it, you know, like right away. I don't know. It's just like, it's your cause. It's up to you, you know, how quickly you want to be the best at what you're doing.
Yeah.
And like, I really want to be good at teaching. I want to be so good at teaching that like, sorry, I meant to come back around to this earlier, but you had said like these pillars are set up for you, and then there are these, you know, backup plans. And if those backup plans fail, then what happens? I want to be the type of person to like help teachers be like, you know, remember that word probabilist?
Yeah.
You know, like probabilistic people, like they are able to like analyze situations, because that's how I am. You know, I like to be ready. You know, I prepare myself for things that, you know, I don't know if that's like a safe thing, but it also a safety thing, but it plays into like how I, you know, run, or like how I speak with people, you know, like my talking points, like I wanted to be prepared. I mean, running was one of the things that I wanted to talk about because, you know, it helped me. It was natural. Yeah. You know, it helped me realize a lot of stuff. Like while I was running, you know, you're only with your thoughts. I started running with earplugs because, you know, I said earplugs help me concentrate. Yeah. You know, like people thought it was kind of dangerous when I told them. And like, I mean, I thought it was dangerous too, but I understood that like I was safe enough, and I tried to be as aware as I possibly could when I was doing that. But I just connected with my body differently when I wore earplugs instead of listening to music, or like when I didn't run with anything, I would still get distracted when my ears were open. So I would close out the sound, and I would listen very carefully to my rhythm and my heartbeat. And I just got really connected with my body that way. Like mind-body connection is definitely a thing that you can come upon, or like, you know, like if you didn't notice it before, like running helped me do that a lot. Sure. You know, it's just kind of an innate part of me. Yeah.
It's weird how like different things work for different people. Like I struggle hard to run without anything going on in my head, but also I can't run to music. Like it's like audiobooks. Yeah. Like that's my like go-to thing for when I'm running. And I don't know why it's that specifically is the thing that helps me out, but yeah, I definitely need something going on. I guess it's like a thought thing for me. Does that make sense? I don't know, because with like music, just naturally as, you know, as a musician, I want to line up with the tempo. But you know, if it's every 3 minutes you're changing that tempo, it kind of throws off like the overall rhythm of what you're doing. And I guess for whatever reason, I mean, a lot of times when people are reading audiobooks, it's the same cadence, same rhythm the entire time, and then even then there isn't even a specific rhythm in what you're going to. Yeah. So then that way it's just like I know what my tempo is, I know what my pace is going. So
yeah, like I think about wanting to do an ultra eventually, you know, because I like I don't know, there's parts of yourself like people have, I think, that are very like you want to fulfill these like things about yourself, like in how you carry yourself, you know, in whatever field you're in. So like in working out, in exercise, I've always felt like I need to give 1,000% when I'm there, because I'm putting in an effort to make myself stronger. And so I've ran 13, 14 miles, before at a time. And, I'm tired after it. I'm not going to say I'm not, but I want to know what it's like to do a marathon. I want to know what it's like to feel that accomplishment. I want to know what it's like to do 50 miles. I want to know what it's like to do 100 miles.
Yeah.
And that's just where my, curiosity takes me. I want to know more about how far can I push myself, And I do that a lot with going in the middle of the day sometimes.
Yeah.
So like I'll run at like 1:00 in the afternoon, and it just obliterates me.
Oh, it's terrible.
And you love water when you walk into your apartment. Like that's the first thing you obviously need.
Yeah.
And then I'll just lay on my floor. I was like, well, I just ran 7 miles in the 98-degree heat for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and I liked it, and so I seek it out. And so now my workouts are, I'll go outside with my kettlebell, and I'll just throw around a 50-pound kettlebell for a little while in the blistering sun, because I like it. I like the feeling of, the warmth of the sun, and like how in tune I am with my body. I work out with earplugs while I'm working out, and I listen to, my rhythm and everything. There's just a connectedness that I've found with myself recently. So, yeah, like running has definitely made me different.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It.
It turns on this reptile brain. Anyway, running has also taught me not to expect too much of myself either, because I have gotten to those points too where like I've been too far away from my house to be able to make it back around.
Oh, for sure.
And so like
stressful.
Yeah, and so I'm like 7 miles away from my house, and I'm like, well,
oh no.
It's time to try to get back. So I'll do another like maybe 3 or 4 miles of running, very spaced out, very sporadic throughout that entire like 7 to get back to my apartment. And so like those were the days where I was like, but you find those limits, like
for sure.
There's just so many things, like, running is an allegory to life, or an allusion to life, and like you love to make it into this like kind of, you just make it into a bigger thing, for yourself at least. And that's what I did for a month, in May. I just try to be very in tune with my body.
Yeah.
Like when you can find things that stimulate you like that. The running was one thing, but it was also like I cooked every meal like myself, like for myself throughout the entire month of May. And then I did research into like shoes. I bought new clothes, It was kind of like treating myself, and also like it was ramping me up to be able to
bettering yourself to perform better.
Yeah, and like like I was saying, like ultras are like kind of just like these like pinnacle moments in your life where you're just like, I accomplished something that is hard.
Yeah.
Like, people that are really good at it can do 100 miles in like less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
People that are like really good at it can do 250 in like 2 days, 2.5 days.
Shout out Courtney
Delwalter.
Terrifying.
Amazing. Like, what do you mean? Like,
I've told you about her, right? No.
Oh my God.
So she did the Moab.
Such a badass
gangster. She did the Moab 240, which is a 238.8 mile race through the Moab desert. Okay. She completed it in I think 36.
I think it was just a ridiculous.
I don't remember like what the time was, but I do remember that second place came in 10 hours after her.
She had time to go home and go to sleep.
And she got a full 8 hours of sleep, and she did that on 16 minutes of sleep.
No, it was 21.
No. It was a 15-minute. Because she did a 15-minute sleep and then a 1 minute.
No. She did a 20-minute nap. Right, she was tossing and turning in her RV, and it wasn't getting anywhere. And then she got up and ran, and then at night, when she was running in the middle of the night, she was like tumbling over, and her teammate caught her, running partner caught her, and she fell asleep in his arms she was like, "Wake me up in 1 minute, in 1 minute," and then it was just like lights off, lights back on, and she was ready to go. And she got up and finished the race. She held the lead. Like it's
super
just
gangster. Yeah.
She there was another one that she talked about on Joe, where she said that she was, I think it was like the Run Rabbit Run, I think is what I remember. The last 12 miles, she suffered a pulmonary edema, which means that because of the dryness of her eyes and the contacts, I think is what she was saying, she couldn't see like 98% of the things that were around her. She could only see like her shoes moving in front of her, like below her, and like the track or like the trail that she was on. And she finished the race.
Most people will consider that point that's when it's over, but you know.
Nah, man.
There's Colin O'Brady, the guy that walked across Antarctica. You're gonna tell me that like that doesn't play tribute to like people and like their ability? Like that's what that guy does. That's what people like that do. They push you to be better, and that's why I get so like passionate about talking about things like accomplishing things like that, because those people like influence me.
Oh, for sure.
In a really positive way.
Yeah.
You know, they help me push boundaries. They help me become like better, and I also have to be like aware of the fact that like I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I want to know a lot, you know, like all the books that I've been reading throughout this entire thing. Reading is another thing. Now it's just part of my schedule. I'll wake up in the morning. Really? I'll wake up in the morning. I don't turn my TV on until like maybe after 4:00 in the afternoon. Yeah. You know, like all morning I get up at like around 7:30 or 8:00, and then I'll sit down with a cup of coffee, and I'll read for like 1, maybe 2 hours, and it has helped me so much to do that. You know, like it created a schedule for me. Like now I have to interpret reading into my life.
Yeah.
You know, now I have to interpret running into my schedule whenever or just really my life again. Yeah. Like those are 2 lifelong things that I want to do because they have really helped me grow. Like,
things that you picked up that you feel the need to keep continue in your life.
Yeah.
No, I definitely get that.
And like, you know, just like I was saying with the whole like reading a book on unified string theory, you know, I can't talk to you about unified string theory. Are you kidding me, bro? Like that's some next level human abilities. Like you're interpreting like everything. Just life itself.
Yeah,
like
literally everything.
The fabric.
Quite literally everything
of existence. Like it's amazing that there are people like that, you know, and I want to read about them, and like reading is just something that helps me do that. And it's not emphasized a lot because everyone's like, I'll watch the movie, or like I'll do this or that. Like I've done that before too. I didn't really read the Harry Potter series, but like I mean I love the stories, and I know that the author did a phenomenal job. You know, it was all around us growing up as kids. You know, like that was our shiz. You know,
that was I would say just as big a part of our childhood as like Pokemon or anything like that.
Yeah, so I wake up, I read, and then I'll keep my TV off, and I'll sit at my computer, and I'll either like record some music or I'll practice guitar. You know, that I've found my musicality again throughout this like time that we've been put away.
Yeah.
You know? But or I'm also subscribed to this website called The Great Courses Plus, and it's just this website that has college level courses with lecturers that just talk about the specific subject that you're looking for that they offer on the site. And I had read books on astrophysics before already. I had read like 3 or 4, and then I was really interested to know like how it worked, you know, to that point. So I subscribed to that class.
Yeah.
And I learned about, you know, all of this stuff. I have multiple of these little spirals and binders and notes that I write down. And so the entire course, like I took notes, you know, looking at these equations, like I was going to understand exactly what's going to happen isn't what I was trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
But I understood that like there is such intricacy to, you know, a subject, you know, and like music is one of those. And like, that's why I love to get into, you know, arguments or discussions with people about why this or why that in music. And like, I'm knowledgeable in that, you know, and I would love to be able to like do the same thing in conversation with a scientist.
Yeah.
Or, you know, a person in medicine, you know, or you know, somebody who is like a laborer, you know. Like I remember in March, I went to go help one of my friends, Austin, compost an entire like ranch area. It took us like 12 hours of straight working through the day to put all that compost everywhere. And if you've never have spread compost before for 12 hours, and then you say that people don't like, you know they don't know how to work, or like they don't know how to like do bro, go outside and move a wheelbarrow full of all of this stuff. It doesn't smell very good, I can tell you that. It got in my mouth a lot and it got in my eyes.
That'll do it.
But I didn't complain. I finished it because I just appreciate working
yeah.
hard, you know. And like he asked for my help,
yeah.
And so I was gonna give effort, you know.
If a friend asks for help, you help them.
Yeah, and I loved it. I love landscaping. I love working in the yard. I like, you know, being outside.
For sure, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's just a lot. I've learned a lot over the course of the last 2 years being out of college, you know,
mm-hmm.
and it's been a subtle, you know, kind of push in the right direction with everything that's been happening. You know, my job, my decisions, my, you know, the relationships, you know, like how we were talking about it. I'm finding out the things that make me happy. I'm finding out about things that I'm passionate about, you know, like how I was just telling you, you know, like when you find something that you're really passionate about, it's amazing to immerse yourself in it, you know. Yeah. And you don't really think about the whole like risk and reward or reaping it, you know. It doesn't matter. Yeah, for a little bit.
You enjoy what you're doing, so that's why you do it.
Yeah. So I also do like learning how to do the recording software for all the, you know, music that I like to make, the ideas that I have. You know, that creative outlet is something that I'm passionate about, you know. I want to release like something that I've worked on, you know, personally, and I want to include my friends in it, and I want to share that with people. And you know, I had a thought, it's just slipped away for a second. Yeah, but you know, life has been very different for me ever since I graduated college. Yeah. Ever since I you know, ever since I just got hit in the face by the world, like the real world. Yeah, like it was really cool to look back on it. In the moment, it wasn't very good. But I mean, that's what people say all the time. You know, they're just like, you don't remember the moment like when it's happening if it was like kind of shitty. You remember it later and you laugh at it. You know, because in the moment you felt really shitty, like on a roller coaster. Like the first time you go down a roller coaster, like that's a really scary feeling. But you remember it, you know, because in the moment you're kind of scared, or maybe you like it, maybe you really like it. But for me, it was like, I remember those. I don't remember every one of them, but like, yeah, like.
I remember a few choice ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, what is it called? It's in Vegas. It's not New York. It's not Circus. But it's attached to the side of a building, and you shoot out, and it goes into a loop, and then it goes up the side of the building, and then you do it backwards. And I remember being the most terrified I had ever been. And then they make you do it twice. They're like, all right, you made it through the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go round 2.
Yeah.
And it's not the stratosphere.
Oh no, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do it. I would do that. But
Nah.
Like, I would be very scared.
It's not for me, big dog.
Just one snap.
Yeah, no. Not down.
It failed.
Yeah.
There's probably not fail safes for that. I mean,
there is, but
maybe.
only to an extent.
That's scary though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely want to experience skydiving, and I want to do like I've always pictured myself like doing the whole wingsuiting, like flying on the side of mountains with like these.
I don't know. I can get behind skydiving, but that wingsuit, man, squirrel suit, that stresses me out.
Insane, dude. That would be awesome. Like just going that fast and you being able to control it a little bit. I'm into very like extreme stuff. Sometimes I feel like it's gonna get me in trouble, like, and it has before, I've been like at points where I said, I know I can't do this, but I'm already up here, and then I get hurt. I get really hurt. Like I remember one time I tried to gauge like, yeah, that's like a 13-foot drop. If I like fall and then I, tuck and roll, I'm sure like I can absorb some of the impact with my like non-existent parkour skills. And then like, I hurt my groin, and I was like, that sucked. And I was out of commission for like 3 days. I had to stretch. That's another thing. I realized I have no mobility in my hips when it comes to stretching. Like I'm just a plank. Like I just can't go down.
Strong 2x4.
And my lower back too, dude. Like I'm 25, but I feel 40. My body tells me more often that like that's probably the case because you don't like stretch out, dude. Like you gotta stretch, and so now I do, yeah. And
like you're the time you're reading is the time I'm stretching.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I definitely picked up over the past couple months, and just the importance of it. Like I stretch, I think except for this past week, just because my schedule kind of got thrown off a little bit since we had started doing band camp. But up until then, I would like stretch every morning. The first thing I do when I wake up is stretch, and the last thing I do before I go to bed is stretch. But yeah. Dude, I don't know. As you talked about running and then what you're doing with like your health, wellness, and fitness and all those things. It's interesting to think back of like you and I have been on a very similar like physical fitness journey.
Yeah.
Because we both started out. Excuse me, got some nasty heartburn, dude. That
brunch.
That brunch was not
good.
Not good. Not good. I'm not gonna say any names, but San Marcos disappointed me.
Oh no.
It did. I was really hopeful, but I digress. But yeah, like we were hitting the wreck.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Like your sophomore year when we were living together.
Yeah.
And we were slinging around some pretty heavy weight.
Very unrealistically optimistic weight, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't have been doing that.
Definitely should have been doing that, but then also it's just like our lack of knowledge of just like the other side of things of like nutrition and
bro. Like
and sleep and all that. And
humble.
very humbling, like cuz I remember it was with you that I'd kind of gotten to my first peak of like fitness. I was under 10% body fat, but my weight didn't fluctuate. I was still like a steady 150, and we were putting up some stupid, like I know my big thing was like deadlifts, and I was doing like repping easy 3 plates on each side to start.
I don't even think I got to like that point with deadlifting. I had done it before, but I don't know. The risk to reward ratio with weightlifting wasn't obvious to me when we were doing that, and I learned a lot that like I'm pretty strong when it comes to doing stuff, because I just have, I don't know, more awareness of my muscles and the strength that I can output, but I mean, I was weak in other areas. Like,
oh, for sure.
Absolutely. Like when it came to like constriction, that's also why after, I think it was like junior and senior year of college, I was doing a lot of like hypertrophy workouts.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to like strengthen myself. You know, it didn't really matter with weight anymore. And then eventually it kind of fizzled out from like wanting to squat like 600 pounds, which is unrealistic, and like benching like 400. And you're just like, why do I need to do that? Like,
yeah.
I don't need to do that. Like, the deadlifting is definitely really fun anyway.
Yeah.
And squatting is like, I give a lot of credit to my legs for like keeping up with my, you know, stupid, ambitious, like, ideas that I can do, you know.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that it's been interesting to look back on that, because I think we both kind of went through the same, like, we were hitting it hard back then, and then we both kind of fell off for a little bit, and then we tried jumping back on that train when we would go to Smack. Still probably, I think, one of the best gyms out there. Honestly, man, I love Smack.
It's old school.
It's old school. Mm-hmm. Just very straightforward. Sign the form, $2. Shut up and lift some weights.
We're not liable.
Yeah, we're not liable, but you can, if you think you can lift that weight, go for a big dog. Yeah. If you hurt yourself, sucks.
Yeah.
And then I think, you know, we both moved away, and then it has since turned into just a lot of like functional, more functional strength training.
Yeah.
Like, I know my big
Connor's always been like that.
Yeah, and Connor has definitely been like that.
I admire him for that, because even when he wasn't exercising or like working out as much as we saw,
yeah,
I feel like he was doing enough push-ups in his room to
he did a lot of push-ups in
like he could constrict you really well. Like, you couldn't get out of stuff with him, and I was surprised because I was like, wow, like, he's pretty strong.
Yeah, and that's kind of like become my bread and butter. Is like I didn't run a mile. I think the last time I ran a mile would have been soccer, my 8th grade year.
Right.
And then I didn't run a mile until I think 4 years into college.
Yeah.
And, you know, now, because I'm dumb, I ran 14 miles.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't think that's dumb.
Well, dumb in the sense of like, how I go about it.
The method he did that was.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, method to madness. You know?
Because like you said, you do circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that.
You just go straight.
I do straight lines. And so,
you were 14 miles away from here?
No, I was 7 miles away.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, I got to get back somehow.
Dang, bro.
Turn around. Yeah. And you know, I did that nonstop, and
that's pretty cool.
It was super dope, and that was a good feeling. And me and Evan have talked about this, that like, I don't, and you kind of touched on it right now, I don't do things because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I do it to kind of figure out if
the suffering
I can do it.
Like, you know, like embrace the suck.
Oh, I embrace the shit out of it.
You love to have that feeling of like, I'm in control, but I also don't know if I'm in control, and I wanna push past this. Oh yeah,
just conquering those inner demons.
Love that.
Yeah,
you know, and I think it's really healthy to do that with, you know, like running, especially because it's a good outlet.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you do get caught up in your own mind. You know, you are your greatest enemy. You know, like your mind is just this very fragile thing. You know, how humans evolved, like their psychology evolved, is a really good book. It's called Sapiens, and when I read that,
I mean, to read that one.
It gave an evolution of, like, you know, the psychology of people, and it was amazing. You know, it was amazing to realize that, like, we've moved so fast in the last like 200 years.
Yeah.
You know, just in the last 200 years, we've gone from, you know, having to build our own houses, you know, or like what, it wasn't even more than like 250 years ago when they signed the Declaration, and like, you know, the United States became a country, and everything just moved at such a incredible pace compared to like how the thousands of years it took for our brain to develop into what it is now.
Yeah.
You know, and like how easy it is for the body to like look at something and like adapt and be like, oh, this is what I need to do to fix this. You know, that's why your temperature spikes whenever you get sick, because your body's trying to like heat up to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Or like how viruses work, how this whole virus thing works. You know, if you're not educated on it, you can very well get sick, and if you don't have any inclination to learn about it, I mean, that's your prerogative. Like that's your choice. Like you can choose not to be aware of something that is very real, you know, but like to me, you know, like I haven't experienced meeting somebody with like COVID yet. Like I haven't, of course, like I don't want to interact with somebody who does have COVID, but like, or like has had it, you know, I haven't spoken to that person.
I don't think I have either.
And so it's really weird how we're kind of privileged in the sense of like how we take care of ourselves and like how informed we are, you know, and like being able to not become extremists in that view, but interpret life the way that we need to. Like we're really good people like that because we're musicians, and like music has taught you to adapt yourself quickly. You know, you're always listening, and your mind is also making billions of decisions in a second. It's always analyzing everything that's in the room, you know? Yeah. Like with artificial intelligence, a robot still cannot do something that you, like autonomously, that you have not set it up prior to doing. Yeah. Like a Roomba. Like a Roomba goes around your house all day and it cleans up all the stuff that is registered as like dirty, right? That's its coding. And then for us, if we walk into a room, we can interpret the couch, the temperature, the amount of light in the room, where everything is. You remember where everything is. Unless a robot is instructed to do that, it won't remember. Yeah. So the mind is such a powerful, powerful tool that a lot of people overlook because they get distracted with so much stuff. You know, like stuff that isn't necessary. You know, like I am guilty of watching TV for a really long time. Yeah. A really long time where like I could have been developing myself differently. And I look back on it and I wish it would have been different, but I mean I'm here now, you know? And if you still want to keep watching TV, like as a person who, you know, just wants to leave everything off to the side and just focus on themselves, and that's how you want to stay for a little while, that's great, you know? No one says that you have to do something except for yourself. Yeah. But also understand that like unless you're ready to realize that like if that's where you're going to stay, you know, don't force other people to succumb to your psychology or to succumb to your interpretation of how life is supposed to be lived. You know, like that's I mean, I've learned that from being a teacher, you know. Mm-hmm. I can't make these kids do everything that I say. I have to meet them where they are, like you said, and I have to develop a plan. You know, and I go along with it and I develop and I understand that like I understand that it's not the most ideal of circumstances, but that's what helps you grow. You know, like I'm better because of it. And I do that a lot with my reading. You know, the stories, they impact me really well. The running, I do that with my running. It's an outlet. You know, like I use it to clear my head and like get my thoughts in order. The exercising is connecting myself more. I used to meditate a lot, you know, where like my first year, especially as a teacher, I would like, at first it was just, I would be on the side of my bed and every light would be turned off and I could just see like the shining of the moon through the blinders in my room. And like, I was just next to my bed with my eyes closed and I would just breathe on stuff for like 30 minutes. And kind of come to terms with the fact that like a lot of stuff is out of my grasp. Yeah, but you also have to understand that a lot of stuff is relying on you to be strong, you know? And like people say, well, I'm not good at meditating because, you know, like if I meditate, I start to think about stuff that doesn't make me very happy. That's the point. Yeah. You have to realize that like if it comes into your head, it's okay, whether it's good or bad. And then eventually the purpose of it is to just be free of thought. You just got to
let it pass through.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part.
Once I got to a point where I was feeling very, very calm whenever I would do that, I wouldn't really think about too much. It would be a very like out of body experience, especially because I started doing it in complete darkness. Yeah. I started meditating inside of my closet because I couldn't take light anymore. So I would take a shirt from the rack in my closet and I would put it against the door underneath so I got no light.
Yeah.
And when I was sitting in the room, like the darkness just expanded my realm of like comfort. You know, I used to be afraid of the dark. You know, I used to play these mind games with myself. My psychology was like, there's something in here. And it's like, it's not, bro. You're in your apartment. You've lived here for 2 years. Why are you still doubting whether or not you're safe?
Yeah.
And, you know, like I got over that. And I just keep breathing, and running is breathing, you know?
Yeah.
And yesterday I was hanging out with Jason right before you came. And I saw the pool and nobody was there. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get in. I got in. And I'm like, oh, I'm really good at not holding my breath, you know, right? I'm really good at not holding my breath. Like, I'm good at breathing.
Yeah.
But holding my breath and, like, being consistent in like, this, like, intervallic way where you get from one side to the next, you know, like, I was really good at, like, gauging how far I could go. And I'm terrified. I'm terrified of deep water. Like jump out of a boat into the middle of the ocean. Point Nemo, you know, I think it's like 1,500 miles away from like any coastline.
Yeah.
That is crippling to think about, because I remember being in these pools when I was younger, and like I couldn't feel the bottom, and like I was still scared, you know, like I like just not knowing how far it is or not feeling it underneath you. You just like kind of develop this fear, and that's what I had of the ocean. And then one day I jumped out into a lake, actually, and I swam out a little bit away from the boat. I was about like maybe like 18 feet away from the boat, and like I wasn't near anybody, but I just like felt this incredible like eternal presence of like a hole. and I got scared for a second, you know, because you're at the top of this like enormous thing, and you start to realize it. And yet, like, I love space where everything is like just in chaos constantly, but there's an order to it, you know. You know, space is wild too, dude. Like, there's so much that I learned from that course. I'm also taking a course on ancient mythology right now, so I'm learning about like Greek heroes and like.
That sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's really cool to learn about it. I also read a book from Graham Hancock that's called Fingerprints of the Gods.
Yeah.
And it talks about the remnants of a possible lost civilization that existed here.
Yeah.
Anywhere like from 10,000 to 12,800 years ago. And it was one of the most incredible stories that I had read. And there was a precision to it, and like you could feel the just fortitude that this guy had, where he was like, I'm not going to take no for an answer, because I know I can see that this is something. And you saw the pictures and you saw the evidence, and it was very convincing.
Yeah.
You know, and it was amazing to see how every ancient civilization kind of lines up with like the way that the gods are presented, you know, like one specific god that they all looked up to.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was for the Incas, it was Viracocha. And it was because Lake Titicaca was in that area, was actually 100 miles further westward. Like, it was deeper and it was bigger when that civilization was around.
Interesting.
And there's even evidence to conclude that the Incas inherited their ruins, that the ruins were there previous to the Incas being there, and that they, you know, kind of monopolized on this, you know, area.
What was already there.
Yeah, and created this civilization, this amazing civilization, you know, and the connectedness that people feel with the earth and like with themselves is completely different. And I love that, because when I experience those moments, I go out of my way to fully appreciate what's happening, you know, and a lot of people miss out on that. I feel it's unfortunate that there are people that don't go out into nature, you know, like people don't realize that like nature is happening simultaneously with people's development, you know. And whenever I go outside and I exercise, there's this tree that I sit under, and with the earplugs in, I don't hear very much, except like my heartbeat and my breath. And one day I was sitting out there, and it was just this very like transient moment of stillness. Where like the clouds weren't moving, there wasn't any air, there wasn't any like disturbance, and I felt this peacefulness because of something that was provided to me by something as titanic as nature. And you appreciate and love that you can do stuff like that. And then, like I'm just romantic like that. I romanticize a lot of moments. For sure. But that's because like I love life. I love to look at it. A lot of people find it really weird when I say this, but like I look at animals in the eye. Like there's a bunch of cows in front of my apartment, right, in the field. Yeah. So whenever I'm working out, if a cow is like chewing up some grass next to the field where I am, they're right there. Maybe it's Ben, maybe it's Jerry, maybe it's Drew, maybe it's Gertrude. I don't know. I have names for all the cows, bro, because I love the cows. They're funny. I love being around them. They just they trip out too. Like I was running by them one day, and only one of them, it was like a I think they're called steers, right? The main like alpha one was just like head up, and like he was like looking straight at me, and I was looking at him, but I had my sunglasses on, so I don't know how he could tell that like he was looking at my eyes, but like he was looking at me and I was looking at him. And then it was like I was still running, I was going past him, and once I got to the point where I couldn't run like this, I turned around, and as soon as I turned around, the whole herd just like zooms away from me. But they do it in a circle, and I got scared for a second. I was like, I'm about to be trampled by some cows. But it kept going, I got past it. One day I was passing by, and there was a horse. Mm-hmm. And I thought maybe I could, I don't know, like just get close just to see what it's like. Because I've been around horses. I've been around, like animals like that. But I have never, like not right now, like not in this time period of my life.
Recent history.
It's because you're in the middle of a city, and like there's a farm like right off the highway.
A little odd, but yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's very like displaced, I feel bad for people that grow up in Houston that can't like grow up around nature, dude. Like there's just very industrial everywhere in Houston. Yeah. I'm sure that there are beautiful places. I'm not downing it, but like I wish that there was more accessibility,
for sure,
for people. But yeah, like I went up to this horse, and like I was able to get maybe like a foot away from it, and I could hear it breathing. And like I said earlier, like people find it weird that I do this, but I just looked at it in the eye. I look at the cows in the eye. I look at dogs in the eye. And I kind of feel this sensation of like it's trying to understand what I'm thinking when I do that. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I mean, it works for me. I feel calm around animals. Animals are actually pretty drawn to me. Ram has chickens. And like the first day that they met me, they were just like clucking around me the entire time. Yeah. I have pictures. They're just by my feet for like, I was sitting outside with him for like 45 minutes, and he was working out like near a part of his fence, and the chickens were just chilling with me. Huh. And then his cats, they're the same way, and like maybe it's because they get adjusted to it, interacting with people. Yeah. But I mean, the horse, like I've never met that horse before. I'd like those cows, or like the dog that I stared at whenever I was with Austin at his boss's house. And she thought that I was really weird. And like, that is a really weird thing to do. I'm not going to lie. Like,
a little strange.
It is strange. But like, I mean, I don't hold that as like I don't know, like it doesn't embarrass me to like to do that. I interpret it differently. I interpret life differently. And I love it. I love to connect with nature differently than people do, which is why I want to go camping. I want to see like national parks. I want to do more running, in different places. I'm also very sociable. I love to meet people. I love to talk, and like doing this right now, I'm realizing that at first it was really like we were going through each one at like a pretty lengthy amount of discussion. And then right now I've just been kind of like hopping through subjects. So I'm going to ask you one question.
All right.
When you think about your future,
yeah,
do you see yourself as a band director?
It depends on how far ahead you're looking.
10 years.
I think I still will be. And I kind of want to talk. I was gonna talk about this earlier, but we kind of hopped off the subject. But it's interesting how you like found music, and through music you found your purpose.
Yeah.
For me, it was the opposite way. I feel like I found my purpose in 10th grade, and it was like it's changed a tad bit, but we're still in the same ballpark. But in like 10th grade, I distinctly like come to this realization of like my purpose in life is to make people feel better about themselves,
to teach, or just to be there.
But not even that. It was just like I acknowledge that for whatever reason, it's easy for people to talk to me, and I'm able to help them out. Like my purpose is to make people feel better. And before, what the thought was I was going to get into food, and I was going to be a chef. And the reason behind that was like, A, I like cooking, but B, like food is like one of the main things that people go to regardless of what their emotion is.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's necessary. It's a necessity.
It's a necessity, but like, you finish your senior recital.
Comfort.
Go get some dinner. You go to a funeral. You go get some dinner. Like it doesn't matter what the emotion is. It's like food is
just
around
occasions.
that. Yeah. And then that just eventually turned into me being a teacher.
Yeah.
From there, obviously some things happen in between, but I still hold true that idea of I think my purpose in life is to help people and give people opportunities to do things that they wouldn't normally get to do.
Facilitating opportunities.
Yeah. And I'm not, and that's why the podcast came about. But I acknowledge that I don't think I'm supposed to change the world in the sense of like I'm not supposed to go be. Like, I never had dreams of being president.
Yeah.
Like, I was never one of those kids. I never had dreams of being an astronaut. I was never, like, I've never been, like, super big picture dude. I'm always, like, background guy.
I have childish dreams of being an astronaut now.
Like I said, the only qualification I know is you can't have a broken bone.
No, but I haven't broken a bone.
Then, in my book, you're good to go, bro.
Excellent.
Go be an astronaut.
Space cowboy. I'm gonna be exactly like Spike Spiegel. Like,
dude,
I love Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is like one of the greatest animes.
I still haven't gotten into anime, but I'm gonna take your word for it. But yeah, like I had this chat with our head drum major the other day, where she was like, kind of freaking out, because like just she is so largely affected emotionally by big picture stuff, like the entirety of the world. Yeah. And like it's a mix of her like having a
existential crisis.
She was going through an existential crisis for sure, but she doesn't have that ability to like compartmentalize everything that's going on. Yeah. Because she's younger, but also like maybe she does and she's just not supposed to.
Yeah. That I actually had a conversation about that with Connor recently. We were just talking about how like being rational is something that is hard to do when you're passionate about stuff. Yeah. So like when you're really passionate like she is, like I felt like she did for a really long time. I felt like my purpose was to do something in this world, not change it. But I think that's just just this virtue that people carry with them. This like very heroic, like hero's myth type of stuff. Yeah. Like Odysseus making it back from 20 years away, or like Hercules defeating all of these, monsters. Like it's just the parts of yourself where you feel like godlike. Like you feel like I can do stuff to help. And like you feel it deep down, like inside of yourself that you're meant to do something. Yeah. That's when I think people like are very religious and they say I feel the presence of God. They are fulfilling themselves that way, because they live their life through God like that. Like they feel powerful. Yeah. And it's just, yeah, like when you don't compartmentalize and realize that there are things that you have to worry about right now that are in front of you and not necessarily the things that are ahead of us, like way too far ahead of us. It's hard to be very like distinct with stuff like that because I'm the type of person to think that way. I think ahead of the ahead, and I think from before, and then I come back to the middle because I'm like, what was it that caused this, and how do I fix it?
Yeah.
And where do I want to be? And that's amazing that she has that psychology about herself and learning how to compartmentalize and like realize the things that are independent of this grand idea are necessary to be fulfilled so that this grand idea lays itself out. Yeah. And like life is about making memories. Life is about experience. Life is about kindness, and just realizing that there is so much beauty in a lot of things, and being optimistic. And there, in the history of our species right now, for the situation that is playing out in the world right now, as far as like racism and stuff, I don't understand why that's still around. I will never understand. Because I haven't experienced something like that before, and I won't. But to me, it just like I get really passionate about stuff like that because I have people in my life who have suffered because of racism.
Yeah.
I have people in my life that are persecuted, that I love, that are persecuted constantly because of their sexual orientation.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's hard for people to figure themselves out, but that's up to the individual. Like what you bring to the table, that's what you're bringing. People try to filter stuff out a lot of the time because they aren't comfortable with it. Like from uncomfortable times, growth happens. And when you choose to be amnesic and forget that stuff like that has happened, that like history has played out the way that it has, you start to develop this independent idea where you think you're right. And that's where extremists come from.
Yeah.
Like that's scary. I don't want that. I don't want somebody to constantly tell me what to do. I know that I'm smart enough to go out there and like look at somebody and know when something's right and wrong, because I was raised to think that way. And I know like deep down, like I know like that shit's not right. Like I don't feel good. I don't feel good when somebody else goes through it. I don't feel good when I see it. I don't feel good like around the idea. It shouldn't have been a thing.
Yeah.
It should never have been a thing. And like it persists like an infection. Like people just think that, oh no, it's like, it's like whatever. No, we're down the line already. You got to get rid of this. You have to stop being so arrogant and stop realize that growth is what happens. Growth is what happens in times like this. And like people will probably look at this like that. This whole like Breonna Taylor thing that happened, it just got reopened again. The case got like or it was what do you know what it was that they've like
FBI
filed
investigation.
It?
Yeah.
They open up an investigation
right
on it.
Why wasn't that happening before? That should have been the first thing that happened. If there was any like it happens in schools all the time with teachers. If there are allegations,
Immediately,
you're
yeah, dude.
out, bro.
Yeah, dude.
And like you better be ready to explain yourself if it was a misunderstanding, and you like cannot go through that again.
Yeah.
Like that's when you learn the scary shit. And people don't like being uncomfortable.
It's almost like we find that more despicable than, someone killing someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost.
Like
Got passionate there for a second.
It's all good, man. I'm not mad at you.
It's not anger, it's passion. Just know that.
Passion.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm a very like I have a very naturalist way of looking at life, where a person lives life, and they should be able to live life, and they should be able to experience life. People, not a race, not a specific type of person. People.
Yeah.
Culturally, culture is like the unconscious brought to life of like parts of your region where you grow up. You know, like that's what has developed because people have settled there and they've like brought this beautiful thing out of everyone in the area. And like, you know, I haven't experienced enough culture, you know?
Yeah.
I want to travel the world and see places like that. And I would love for people to have that capacity to like do what I want to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I know that we all got our lives to live, you know?
Yeah.
And the best that we can do is just be the change that we want to see, you know? And I definitely do that a lot. My bias was checked when I started working at this school. My understanding of like looking the way that I do, and then like being from a specific culture that I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
My skin defines more to these kids that I stand in front of than the things that I've experienced.
Yeah.
Than the culture that I was brought up in. You know, because I look at them and I say, I have been through some of the stuff that I'm not comparing your lives to mine, but I am saying that I have experienced things that I don't want you to feel like you have to experience. And that's where you like latch on, and then you have to realize that it's like you're a teacher. Like you are here to educate as much as you can, and you're here to take care of them.
Yeah.
And you have to be strong in that sense. And you know, I have a passion for people. I have a passion to help people. You know, like you were saying earlier, that's what your passion, you know, was. So I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing that's amidst all those things that you just said, kind of thing that's kept me grounded is just this, and I know for a fact that you've heard it before, and I always forget who it is. And if you could look this up for me, I want to give the proper shout out. But the quote is, "Tend to the part of the garden you can reach." You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that's what I was explaining to her. Shout out Ellie Abel, the head drum major over here at T-High. She's killing it. But this is what I was explaining to her, is that like my garden is small, and I'm okay with that. Like I don't think my garden is supposed to be like statewide or nationally or anything like that. Like my garden is like just right here. This is it. And you know, I was telling her like, hey man, maybe your garden is meant to be at that national level, and that's okay.
I would. That's what I expect of myself.
Yeah.
Like her.
It's Voltaire. I wrote that.
Voltaire.
Voltaire.
Yeah.
Word. Shout out him.
Yeah.
That quote's was what I've been living by for, I think, the past like at least 3-4 years. And it's a very strange realization, like ego check, to like just kind of give up that power of like knowing that I'm not gonna change the world.
Yeah.
But like that's been like the inadvertent goal, I think.
No, it's just
somehow.
about your experience. Like, people realize, you know, just with how much they mature.
Yeah.
You know, like what point in their lives they're at. They'll come to a realization about the things that matter to them.
Yeah.
You know, like very, very deep love and connection with the things that matter to them. And your priorities start to become different, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you become a dad.
Yeah, for
or
sure.
Something like that.
And, you know, like, we used to joke about it back when we were teaching in San Antonio, me, Caesar, and Junior. Caesar would always, like, before we start rehearsal, he would always, like, say, like, let's go change the world. And, like, for a while, like, I was like, yeah, all right. Like, that's his just kind of, like, thing that he would say before we'd start, and didn't think too much into it. Then like we got to talking about it, and you know, we're not necessarily changing the world, but we're changing the world for these kids. Like their world is changing.
Their experience.
Because we're giving them opportunities that they wouldn't get otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, even just on the surface level, a lot of kids don't experience indoor drumline. Yeah. It's just a good time. Like, it's a cool thing to go through. But then, like, also with those kids that we first started with, we got a state championship. And, you know, like, that's, for better or worse, for some of those kids, that might be their biggest achievement in life. For other kids, that was, like, the jump start to, like, realizing, like, oh, I don't have to, like, I could be something more than myself. I can go off and do different things than what people have told me that, like, I'm supposed to do with being a Mexican kid from San Antonio. Or even just being, like, just having me and Caesar come out, like, two kids that are from this area, coming down from the university and, like, just showing them love and care. Yeah. Like, it's, and that's what I talk about, like, my garden. It's like, I don't extrapolate to the entire, like, even the county. Like, I acknowledge that, like, I'm not going to change the students' lives over in Belton, in Copper's Cove, or anything like that. Like, I'm not even all the kids at Temple High School. Like, but I'm going to do my best to change the lives of the kids that are in the band program. I'm going to change something for them. My biggest thing is, like, I tell my kids, like, I don't care if we ever get a trophy. That is not my goal. My goal is to make better humans for the world. So that's why I get mad when there's, you know, we go to a rehearsal space and, you know, there's a water bottle. Like, yeah, it was just a water bottle, but also, like, it was just a water bottle. Like, why couldn't anybody? Oh, it wasn't my trash. And so, like, so you're just cool with leaving this place shittier than we got to, because you don't think it's your obligation to take care of it.
This area.
Yeah. It's like, no, man, just be a good person. Yeah. Clean up. It's not that hard.
Mother Earth. Those people don't wear masks now.
Those people don't wear masks now. Yeah. And
it's ridiculous. This is a pretty ridiculous situation, but
it is. And, you know, that's a whole other topic of conversation, and I don't even know if I'm emotionally.
No, there are things that are happening to people that, like, will never, like, interpret, because we were very lucky.
Yeah. And
I use this as means to work harder.
Yeah. And you know, my big thing is and I go back and forth on it with some people, where they pick and choose where you're allowed to grow. You know what I mean when I say that? Like, yeah, a lot of these people out here just like
they try to dictate, like, what grows in your garden.
Yeah. And even then, it's just like they condemn people for not having the information. But then once they do get the information, they call them a hypocrite. Yeah. It's like, you weren't there for it, but just, like, my views of the virus from the beginning, just like, I remember Jay Gonzalez, like, from the jump, bro, like, in February, he was tripping hard on it. He was like, bro, it's not going good. It's not good. It's going to down. We're going to shut down. And I was like, bro, it's going to be all right, man. Like, it'll be, you know, it's cool. And then March happened, and he was like, bro, we're done. We're out. And I was like, nah, man, we're going to be okay. No big deal. And then I think, like, I went and, like, the Google feed, like, the first article was like, hey, no, this is a big ass deal. And I came back and I was like, after further research, I retract my statements, and
it's pretty bad.
I am on board with Jay. This is not looking good, y'all. And, like, Jay was like, yeah, I know. Yeah. But he was cool enough to just be like, he didn't condemn me for having the different point of view. He was just like, he stuck to his guns of, like, nah, man, this is a big deal. Yeah. And it bothers me when people A, don't have the humility to say that they were wrong, or B, they don't allow people to have the humility to say that they were wrong. Like, and maybe that's just me as an educator. That's just my philosophy on education, or just, acknowledging that I've been wrong a vast majority of my life.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah, man.
Like you don't want to admit, like people don't like to hear the truth about themselves.
Yeah.
Even if you say like, no, like I want to hear it. Like I want to hear what would happen, or like what's going on. And then you hear the truth and you realize like, wow, that really sucked. I don't want to listen to you.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to grasp those
or,
things.
You're sitting there and you kind of talk yourself out of a situation of like questioning whether or not what you did was correct or incorrect. And then like you just brush it off like it's whatever. Yeah. And it's like people do that a lot on really, really big scales.
Yeah. And I mean, when you first got here, you said it, not getting into the conversation that we're having, but just like you were like, the thing that means the most to me is, and a handful of people have said it, is like, that you can come to me and there won't be any judgment casted.
Oh yeah.
Like that, I think that compliment is above anything.
Yeah. Because you're an inviting person.
Thank you. I'm also terrible at accepting compliments, but that's a whole other deal. But between that and people knowing that I'm gonna be honest with them, it's both a very hard thing for people to grasp, but I appreciate it in myself, and I think eventually people appreciate that on the other end. And I've got a homegirl that's mad at me right now, and we haven't talked in like 3 weeks because, and again, I don't want to call her out or get into too much of what it is, but she said something, and I gave a very on-brand response to her, and she was just like, "Hey, don't do that to me." I was like, this is literally like what, like you came to me with a problem like you always do, and I said exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And in this instance, you got upset about it. I'm sorry that happened, but like that that's why
you wanted to talk.
Yeah,
like
like
you
that's
asked
why.
me.
Yeah, like
yeah, I get that, and like in the previous weeks that have have played out, I've just like realized a lot of like my capacity for caring. Like when it comes to a relationship with somebody, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like it's just 1, 2, 3, and then go.
Yeah.
And I'll do everything that I can because I know that I can. And yeah, like I still question myself. Yeah, I still like have these ideas of whether or not it's gonna work, or like, just like those are natural thoughts to have, but you can't let them control you. You control the situation. You control what's coming out of your mouth. You control the decisions. Nobody's gonna get up in the morning for you and like make your coffee. No one's gonna take your breaths or take your steps or blink for you or learn the things that you need to do. You're in charge of stuff.
That's on you, big dog.
And like that is what's really hard to come to terms with, is that for some people, or maybe for a majority of people, it's like because of a certain amount of privilege that they were allotted during their life, you never realize a potential of like this like person that you could be, And I'm not saying that's like right or wrong, like people live their lives and they become incredible people regardless, or maybe they don't. Life is about choices. Life is about choices that you make and you learn from, or it's about you have a really, really good time when you make that choice and you remember it. It's a memory. It's an experience, and like maybe sometimes those are even like one and the same. It like you'll learn from the choice that you made because of how fun a time that you had. But I still think that there are two like distinct like acceptance to or decisions. Like you either do this because you're trying to find out, or you do this because you know you're going to have a good time. Yeah. And that's what decisions are based on: habits, comfortability, and it's people don't like to be uncomfortable.
Nah, it's hard, man.
Yeah, it's a really hard. That's why we run.
Yeah, I was about to say, getting back to
that's why we exercise.
How we exercise. Like, again, I don't enjoy doing it. I don't like the last workout I posted on Instagram. That did not feel good to do 100 burpees and then go do hard. 20 minutes on the Stairmaster.
No, thank you.
That did not feel good, but I did it.
Yeah.
And now I know I could do that.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do something stupid again. Like, this is the first Sunday in a while. What time is it? Oh, dude, I still got time in the day. Light work.
Oh, yeah.
I still got time in the day to go do something stupid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I probably will. Like, I might go. Like, I haven't ran in, I think, 2.5 weeks.
Right.
It's about time to go do a 6-miler.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yesterday I didn't exercise. And then I got to the pool and I was like, well, I guess, put it in. And I did just like a 45-minute session of like 2-on-2 for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Again,
it's just like, why not?
Just
like,
getting that mental fortitude.
Or just the stimulation.
Just like, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Do it. Shut up. Do it.
Do it. I think that's necessary to push yourself like that sometimes.
Just
it's also hard.
Friendly reminder.
It's also hard though. Like, you get caught up in moments later where you realize that like maybe just chill out, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like, I need to have more of those moments where I'm just like, bro, you need to chill. Like, you like, don't put yourself through that right now. Like when my back was hurt a couple weeks ago. And I hurt my back at the end of the workout. So I had one more round, and I decided to do the last round with my back. My back was hurting, and I still did that last round. I was like, that was stupid. Why'd you do that?
It's definitely a hard line to balance on of like, hey, listen to your body and conquer the inner bitch.
Yeah, but I mean, I try to do that as often as I can. Like when you don't want to do things, like when you don't want to wash your dishes because it's like, oh, it's 8:00 at night. I just want to sit down and watch some TV. No, get your ass in the kitchen and wash your dishes.
It's going to take you 10 minutes.
Because when you do stuff like that, you are literally rewiring your brain. You are rewiring yourself to think differently when you don't want to do stuff like that. Yeah. Even if it's silly, like washing the dishes or like folding your laundry. Yeah, like I sometimes like leave my laundry on the floor for like 2 days after I wash it. That's neither here nor there, but I'm just saying that it's like I have moments like that, but I'll still do it. Like I have to do it even on the day where it's just like, no, I'm not gonna. Like it's fine there. It's fine on the floor of my room when it should be hung up and like like do your shit, man. Like go wash the dishes, make food. Don't go grab something to eat right now. I don't care if it's convenient. You're spending too much money, hundreds of dollars a month, doing unnecessary stuff outside of your house. Cook some food. And if you don't know how to cook, roast everything. It works, I promise, okay? That's what I did.
30 minutes at 425 in the oven will cook most things.
Yeah, get back from your workout, put that in the oven, take a shower, get out of the shower, it's done. And you're ready to go. And like I know that like it's habit forming. That was habit forming. I had to do stuff like that to get used to it.
If you don't know how to cook, just the 4 seasonings you need to know. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder.
Boom.
If you don't know anything else, just throw those 4 spices on your chicken.
If you eat, I cannot believe it's not butter. Please
don't do that.
Don't eat. I cannot believe it's not butter.
I remember that was your go-to.
That was my go-to for a really long time.
A
long time before I realized. I was like, wow, this is not healthy, is it? No, it's not butter, Scott. Oh my God, what? That was the glass shattering moment. It was like, I can't believe it. Oh my God.
What do you mean the title was being truthful?
It was being real?
What?
The word butter was in it, but people just didn't mind. It's like, oh, it's not butter.
So bad.
Yeah. So
bad for you.
I use a lot of like I use full butter if I ever do have meals that I make that way. I like to cook. I like to cook a lot. So I do it on my own, and it's just something I picked up because of my mom and like my family, and then also just because like I had to learn how to do it.
For sure.
You know, I didn't want to learn how to make cereal and eggs, and that's it. You know, like.
Dude, speaking of, I haven't had your mom's cooking in a hot minute.
Fat minute.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So good.
She's
Let
great.
me know next time she makes some things.
Yes, sir. Tamales.
Oh, God bless.
It was amazing.
I haven't had tamales in a minute.
Yeah.
I didn't get my normal, like Christmas tamales. I didn't get them this year.
Me neither.
I'm really sad about it. And here we are this year. Jesus, it's August.
It's August.
So, for whatever reason, like March and April just didn't happen in my timeline. So it just feels like
summer went by very fast.
Yeah.
I think it's because I was kind of like immersed in all the other stuff that I found, but like it went by pretty fast. And now that this whole year is coming up, you're just kind of trying to prepare yourself like mentally for what's necessary, or
figure
like,
out what might happen, what could happen,
yeah,
what could
so
not happen.
yeah, so like that was scary for a little while, and
I
like
just realized I like skipped all of July in my head.
That too.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
July went by really fast.
Summer didn't happen, just because like we had those 3 months of nothing.
Yeah.
When we got to June and July, it was just like beep beep. August.
Right.
Hey girl, how you doing? And you know,
Dang.
and here we are at the beginning of the month, and you start school in
Like a little
2.5
over 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, and then we start school in a month, and it's just like,
It's gonna be interesting to see what the future has.
and you know, we could talk another hour about that nonsense.
Well,
but-
I mean, speaking of future, so you said you still want to be a band director. Do you expect anything else of yourself in your future?
Like I said, it depends on the time. I think 20 years, probably not.
Right.
When between the 10 and the 20, I stop. I'm not too certain. Or even if I do stop, you know, like, I'm not terribly certain, but I think towards that 20 years on the back end, like, I don't know, probably not. But I still have that dream of opening up my own restaurant. Honestly, I don't really see a reason why I would stop doing this. Like, I remember we were talking on the episode that comes out, episode 9, right? Yeah, episode 9. I'm not doing this because of like the money thing. Like, it'd be cool if I eventually got paid for it, but just like
That's why I respect it.
Yeah, this is like just the self-fulfillment. Like, I missed talking to individuals.
Yeah.
So I made a platform in which I get to talk to individuals. So I don't see this stopping. Honestly, like bartending, I miss doing that.
Yeah.
So like opening up a restaurant and bar would be super dope. Writing, marching band shows.
I definitely want to
drill
come out
and
with
music.
a book.
Book would be super dope.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I like doing stuff, and when I don't like doing it, I don't do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd pick up other things. I got back into construction, got back into building stuff.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I'd by then I'll probably have a family.
Yeah.
I'll probably be teaching something at some capacity. You know, my main thing is just mental, physical, and emotional health.
Yeah.
As long as that's good, I'm straight.
Yeah.
What about you?
I hope to see this year through, and then like find like an apprenticeship or like some sort of master's program where I can study developmental psychology,
Word.
and then get a doctorate in probably like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I do know that I want to be the guy that's at the college level that hits on as many points as I possibly can to prepare people like me.
Yeah.
You know, I want to reach out and like help give guidance to people who have these like worldly ambitions and like have a very like good understanding that they want to impact the world, and like I just want to be like a good guide for that, you know.
I feel
and
that.
I want to be smart, you know, and I want to be secure in myself, and that's something that I just expect of myself, you know. Like I really would love to be at a collegiate level because I can speak differently, I can learn like differently, and the middle school that I'm at, I love what I'm learning, but I also crave a different type of stimulation as far as accomplishment goes for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah. Also, just like a book is something that like I'm writing a lot now, you know, because I had a lot of time and I had a lot of thoughts, and yeah, just I see kids more often now, and I just kind of get this like very nice feeling of, I don't know, it's maybe just like an evolutionary thing, but like I feel like I want to be a dad, you know, like I want to take care of somebody. My voice just cracked too.
It's all good.
Like I want to take care of somebody like that. I don't know. That's something that speaks to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see.
I got you.
I'm
man.
waiting.
For you know, this is I don't know if this is ever possible, but if I could somehow be at a college teaching, like I don't know if you noticed, but just my plethora of hip hop
rap.
Like teaching a course in hip hop and rap,
Yeah.
Music history, Latin studies, marching band,
Excellent.
own a bar and grill,
Right.
and then write
Just
marching band shows.
the
like,
Renaissance, man.
just doing things.
Leonardo da Vinci's
like I'm not
my idol.
Again, my thing is like I do not like having downtime.
Yeah.
I do not like having free time.
I
So I just
I
fill
think
it up.
that you definitely need some downtime, but
No, for sure. But I and I still stand by this. I think I know how to relax better than most people,
right,
because I do so much.
right,
So
Right,
like
yeah.
when I get those opportunities, like we did when we, I know that you actually didn't get to go to it, but the house in Canyon Lake,
right, yeah,
I didn't enjoy that as much as I normally would have because we had just came off of 2 months of doing nothing.
right.
So, but had I finished out the year, finished out the Temple
Yeah, you
indoor,
would have
Valley Crown
appreciated
indoor, UIL, salsa band, brass band, all the concert band stuff, the middle school gig, the percussion ensemble concert. That would have been a week after that. So just like week after graduation, doing all that. So week after that, bro, I can go lay there. Don't need anything. Just lay in the sun and just enjoy the hell out of it.
Oh yeah,
Like I'm because I know like how to keep the wheels moving at all times.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm better at turning it off.
yeah. I read a book called Walden recently by Henry David Thoreau, and it talked about just like this man living out and self-sustenance farming. So like he was doing everything on his own. He built his own house, and he lived out near Walden Pond in Concord, New England. And the stories,
Area, right?
you know, like he would talk so, like he was very self-fulfilling. You know, like he did what he wanted because he knew that he could.
Yeah.
And he also appreciated like the simplicity in nature, and that's where I got that idea from, that like nature happens simultaneously with us. You know, life continues even if we weren't present, and he notices that in the way, like how he lives. You know, he like sits with the squirrels just like on his feet, or like, you know, these like birds would like land on his shoulder, and they would just be there, and he would be there for hours. You know, he would look at a lake, and he knew every inch of that lake and every crevice and every spring that came out of it and what fed it, and like he was aware of his surroundings, and he had this very like, you know, good connection with nature and himself. And he said that in the times when he relaxed, he knew that he was putting in as much work as he could every day to get to that point. And it was a really beautiful story. It was very descriptive. Yeah, it's very descriptive. Very
You've read
like
the book?
old timey. He was a graduate from Oxford.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Cambridge, I think. Yeah, Cambridge. And like he like graduated from Cambridge in the early 1800s, and then like decided to start doing stuff for himself in like 1830, 1820, something like that.
Word.
And he just lived out there, and it was really cool to read. And you know, I've read tons of books now, and that one was really outspoken because of like his description of nature. Like that's just what I connected with. Yeah.
I dig it, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could do this.
Oh, we could do this for
forever.
Hours. Yeah.
But I you
We
need to
hit
get back to
most of my talking points. You know.
Yeah, there you go. You know, cross out the ones we didn't get to.
Sure.
And then the next time you're out here, we can hit those.
Sure.
I mean, I think I had a sentence on salsa.
Right. Oh yeah.
But I mean, we could talk about that for.
I forgot to mention at the beginning, like very much about. I just kind of like started.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good, man. You know, I'm gonna be here for.
Wow.
For a while, you know, I've got
Great.
Evan for at least one more year.
Excellent.
So, I mean, you'll definitely be back out.
I would hope so.
And
next time I'm gonna have like a title, you know, where I'll be like, you know, teacher, ultra athlete, spaceman.
Hopefully something else tacked on to the teacher.
Certainly.
But I mean, any final thoughts? Any shout outs, anything that you want to say to the kids?
Thinking back on some of the stuff, like points that I brought up, I know I got passionate at one point. Maybe I said something, you know, that I don't know could be taken out of context. I hope that everyone knows that, you know, I came here because the platform that you allowed me, just kind of like, yeah, I let everything out because that's how I feel truly.
Yeah.
And some closing thoughts are, if you don't run, go on some walks and breathe a lot and learn how to control your thoughts. And also be thankful for the days that you have, you know, and like waking up in the morning is still a mystery to a lot of people. Why do we still wake up in the morning after going to sleep?
It's true.
You know, take care of yourself, know what you're putting into your body. Definitely like read the labels to some stuff and like search up some videos and you'll get thrown for a loop. I would advise to stay in the perimeters. That's usually where I shop, you know, just like outer edges of the store.
Makes sense, yeah.
If you ever feel like there is something that you want to say and you don't know how to say it, I would recommend writing. It's a beautiful outlet, and the thoughts are your own, you know, and they're truly yours, and you can look back at them. And I love the simplicity in it, but I also love the like depth to it. Mm-hmm. And I really, really am so happy that you started doing something like this, because it's really cool to like see it developing and like be a part of it, you know, be here right now. I'm very thankful for that. So.
Man, we thank you for coming out, man.
Heck yeah.
Appreciate you, brother.
Heck yeah.
Word. All right, brother. Love you.
Yeah, love you too. I'll catch you next time.
See you soon. Yeah, absolutely. All right. As always, appreciate you, Evan. Everybody else at home, peace.